Hello, everyone. This is Tom Fox back again with Kenneth O'Neal for another episode of the Circle of Gumption. First of all, Kenneth, welcome back.
Thank you, sir. It's always a pleasure to come and visit with you.
Kenneth, you have some really interesting thoughts around the Great Debate. So could you tell us how you define the Great Debate and how that works into the Circle of Gumption?
I am really glad you asked that question because I'm actually working on an article called The Great Debate for some people out of San Antonio, Texas. And I think the Great Debate is 5 topics. And those 5 topics that I believe that we should have deep conversations, and they should be ongoing conversations. The 5 topics are God, sex, money, religion, and politics. Now, when I am talking to most people, I get a no, they don't want to talk. I think in a way they're afraid of the discussion. And maybe some of them have some really deep feelings to the point that they really can't talk about them. But I believe that if we could bring it together so that we could sit down, even if we disagree, my belief is that there's 2 sides to everything. There's a book in the library that says, sugar is bad for you, Tom. But if you go looking, you're going to find a book that says sugar is okay. Sugar could be good for you, Tom. And I believe that you need to read both books. And then based on who you are, Tom, you need to decide. You need to make your decision about, do you want the book that says it's bad or you want the one that says it's good? We need to read Gandhi and we need to read Hitler. We need to know both sides. And that is my intent, is to have these conversations to get both sides. And I'm not judging anybody. I'm giving them open rein. Tell me, what do you think about it? Now, the first 3, the God, the sex, and the money, those are the 3 biggest topics in the ancient literature, in the Bible. Those are the 3 main topics. But I think the 2 really important ones is the religion and the politics. Because I think that today, especially, they have created a lot of disturbance, a lot of disruption, and a lot of problems. And I'm not saying this is easy. It's not easy to talk about. It's hard, actually. But I always say, let me be better. Let me be better at this. So when I attempt to have a conversation with someone, I drop all my bias. I drop all my prejudice. And my daughter, who is a psychologist, she tells me, Dad, you did have a lot of barriers in your mind. When they were growing up, how can you wear that T-shirt with that shotgun on the front of it? I can remember my son told me, he said, Daddy, yeah, you didn't want me wearing that T-shirt. Okay. But so now I really feel like that I have listened, I have researched, I have read, I've had lots of conversations with lots of people. And I don't want to be guilty of the sin of the desert. In other words, I know where the water is, but I don't tell you. All right, I've got this information of what I believe. And a lot of people don't believe it, but that's okay. I can still love and care for them, even if I disagree wholeheartedly. But I'm not going to beat them up with my words. I'm not. I don't want to create an atmosphere where they feel afraid and they feel insecure and they don't want to talk to me. So my words are very important. All right. But did you know that words are only about 7% of effective communication? The other 93% is from your body language, your eye contact, and how you wave your hands and the things that you do. So it's nonverbal mostly. And you've seen a lot of people that they get a smirk on their face and they just walk away. They didn't have to say a word, what they were thinking and what they were feeling. But words are so important because they can be healing or they can be hurtful. And the thing in creating this environment or this atmosphere to have a discussion about the great debate and how it relates to the circle of gumption, where gumption gets you up early in the morning and gets you on your projects, gets you to working hard, but gumption helps you complete those things. So I want to complete this environment of being able to have effective conversations. So the way I look at it is, if we're going to sit down and talk, let's both agree that we're going to work real hard on dropping our bias, drop our prejudice, and have a clean slate. And then we start our conversation. Now, in the conversation, as we get started, we're going to get permission that we're really here just to learn and to enjoy having, let's just enjoy having our coffee. We have a conversation. There's nothing, the world's hopefully not going to end right now while we're having this conversation, but we want to have the discussion. And my purpose is that once we get the conversation started, that these conversations on an intentional basis will go forward. All right, so maybe we talk 15 or 20 minutes and we talk. We don't come to any conclusions. We don't solve any major problems. But what are we doing? We're learning about each other. We're becoming friends. We're being kind. All right. Did you know that 99% of people, if you ask them, are you a kind person? 99% of people go, oh, yeah, I'm a kind person. But how many activities, how many actions have we seen of people taking a baseball bat and beating somebody's windshield in, or doing other things to harm other people? And that's not being kind. That's not being considerate. That's not being nice. But in our conversations, we can do this. And I believe that if we can have these type of conversations that I'm talking about, and a lot of this comes from my mediation, and you've done a lot of mediations where you sat down with people and they totally disagree. They've got a contract. One of them says it's $1 million. The other one says it's only 500,000. But you can chat with them about the things, and as long as they don't start fighting, you can probably come to some kind of resolution where they agree about, so they can get it resolved. That's what I'm talking about in having these intentional conversations, is that they go on. And I think I mentioned one time before, as a leader in an organization, the conversation with the employees and the people that report directly to the president or to the leader of the group, that conversation goes on all the time. It might be walking down the hall and how was your weekend? Instead of just walking in every Monday morning and saying nothing to anybody and say, look, I left you a list of things to do. Now get them done. No, we need to care more about people so that we can get to know people, because it comes back to supporting the people that are in your community, in your company. You come back to that point where you support them and give people encouragement. A lot of people go through life and they never get recognized. I've had a lot of people in different organizations say, nobody's ever recognized me for anything in my whole life. We came up with something called AIR, A-I-R, and that stands for appreciation. Let somebody know, give them a compliment, man. I appreciate your time. Thank you for that. You went out of your way. And A stands for appreciation. I is for inspiration. So let's inspire people to go the second mile, go further down than you normally would. And then, of course, the R is for the recognition part. So everybody needs air. The metaphor there is we all need air, but that environment has to be started and it has to continue. But you can come to the place where, look, we disagree. I still love and care for you, but we have to agree that we disagree, and we're not going to treat you badly, because see, in responding, and that's the good part, is responding, as opposed to the bad part of communication where you react. In other words, reaction is just like snapping your fingers, but a response is where you say, ooh, maybe I ought to take in 8 or 10 seconds and stop and think about what I'm going to say before I say it. I used to have a dream when I started doing public speaking, and I would be on stage and I would say a word. And that word, I would see it in my dream coming out of my mouth. And I would reach out and say, no, I didn't mean to say that. Come back. When you say those words, if you say them without thinking, you can't get them back. They're out there. And, this great debate and talking about those 5 subjects, most people don't want to talk about them. But I think that we have to do the hard part. And let's have these conversations. Let's go and speak to people and ask them, what can I do to help you today? How can I help support you? How can I encourage you to get to your goals? And that goes all the way back to the Circle of Gumption. Those are the type of people that I believe that if they'll use their gumption and they begin to think about it, then I think we can have a much better world and a more meaningful life for all the people that would follow and have these kind of conversations and then follow the beliefs of using their gumption.
Kenneth, that sounds like a great place for us to end this podcast. I wanted to thank you. We're going to link to your website and the book, Circle of Gumption, in the show notes, as well as your LinkedIn profile. If anyone wants to reach out to Kenneth and perhaps contact him, please feel free to do so. Kenneth, I look forward to continuing this conversation.
Thank you, sir. Good to see you again. Thank you.